Alright, I went ahead and recorded this before my computer died, but wasn't able to get it edited before that happened. So here's the episode, Ascension of the Cybermen review for your listening and viewing pleasure. It's basically the introduction to my Series 12 Doctor Who post-mortem, so enjoy the video. Oh, we're going old school now. It's the Wilk Report. I'm Michael Wilk, coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio, with a review of Part 1 of the two-part series finale for Doctor Who, Series 12. This is Episode 9, Ascension of the Cybermen, and it's actually pretty decent, unlike the series finale, The Timeless Children, which is utter garbage. But I want to go ahead and just get this out of the way. Aside from a couple of points, one major, one minor, I'm going to give this episode a solid 8 out of 10. But let me just get this out of the way, because you just have to see it to believe it. So if you're a fan of the Orville, like I am, this is what you might want to go ahead and take a look at. This right here. You see those? Those are Kaylon. They're a race of sentient robots that overthrew and destroyed their creators, left them mountains upon mountains of bones deep underground. And they displayed in the Season 2 finale the ability to detach their heads and send them flying with laser beams shooting out of these gun ports that spring up from where their eyes would be if they had working eyes. Now take this screen cap from Ascension of the Cyberman. Do you see a similarity? Yes, Chris Chibnall has turned into Thief Alex Klutzman.
So derivative, in fact, that in Europe it's considered plagiarized.
I mean, it's bad enough you're fucking ripping off from classic and new series Doctor Who because you don't have an original bone in your body when it comes to this show, and you can't be bothered to come up with anything new or different, and you're just recycling stuff that we've seen done before and arguably better. No. Now you're stealing from other sci-fi shows, and you're not even trying to be subtle about it. Fuck you, Chris Chibnall. And you're going to be seeing a lot more of that in my review of Episode 10. But that is the major problem that I have with this episode. The other one is kind of a minor quibble, because if you watched the arc with Brendan, the Irish lad who was a foundling, grew up to become a member of the Irish Guard, which is their version of the constabulary. He was shot by a robber, fell seemingly to his death off of a cliff, and survived without a scratch. And then he continues to live his life. He grows old, he retires, and then his adoptive father and his sergeant reappear at the end of his retirement party and decide, we're going to take you to this room and reset you, and you're not going to remember anything. And then, of course, we see the lone Cyberman reviving the other Cybermen aboard this troop carrier that's been adrift in space. These last several humans have been they've been reduced to 7 in number. 2 of them get killed, leaving only 5. And eventually, in the next episode, we whittle that down even further. We go ahead and have the Doctor and the companions go to this planet where the last humans are making their stand against the Cybermen, and they're ripping off the Kaylon with the flying head things.
So derivative, in fact, that in Europe it's considered plagiarized.
And, things seem pretty bleak. But then the Doctor manages to help the last humans in the future escape, and they fly off in this kind of flying saucer, while the Cybermen attempt to pursue back on the planet, and the Doctor and Ryan, who ends up kind of left behind, he ends up, along with one of the other surviving humans, they end up trying to stop the Cybermen back on the planet. And, of course, eventually they manage to get the best of the lone Cyberman and steal a cyber shuttle and fly off after the others to reunite with Yaz and Graham, along with the other humans who survived and escaped. Eventually they all reconvene, but that gets into Episode 10. Yaz, Graham, and 3 of the other humans manage to make their way onto a derelict transport ship and find out, much to their dismay, that it's full of hibernating Cybermen. And then, of course, the lone Cyberman shows up with a couple of ancient-looking Cybus Cybermen and starts reconfiguring the combat Cybermen that are lying dormant. I have to give props to this. The redesign here perfectly blends old and new designs in a way that really works. I mean, they are lethal, they are sleek, and most of all, they look much like the classic Cybermen of the 1970s and 80s before the show went off the air back then. So these are very good designs. I will give them props for that. Much better than pretty much anything I've seen since New Who relaunched in 2005. But then, of course, the lone Cyberman discovers that the humans are aboard the ship, and the episode ends with a cliffhanger with them, kind of trapped and the Cybermen trying to storm the bridge. Meanwhile, the Doctor, Ryan, and... Well, actually, it's just the Doctor and Ryan because the other human who got left behind died, and there's just one more left with them from that original group of 7. They end up making it to this sanctuary planet where they're greeted by an old man who explains that he was a former prisoner in the cyber camps scheduled to be processed for conversion. He escaped, he helped lead a resistance, and they found this planet where there's this huge interdimensional gateway, seemingly natural. He explains that he remained behind to see to it that everyone else got off the planet alive and made it back to whatever sanctuary this was. And then the Master pops through this portal just as the Doctor is about ready to step through, and we see the ruins of Gallifrey through the portal. Now, how the Master goes ahead and does this, we don't know, but, he says, get ready because, everything's about to change, and then we cut to the end of the episode. So, my thoughts, again... I mostly liked it overall. I really fucking hate that act of thievery that Chibnall created by ripping off the Orville and the Kalon. The other thing is that this thing with Brandon, even though it's explained in the next episode, but it doesn't really seem to tie together, okay? It's hinted that this might be some kind of simulation. We get subtle hints that it may not be what it seems. There's a set of doors that looks inside the police station that looks suspiciously like the TARDIS doors. There's a clock that's constantly being referenced. Then, of course, we get other subtle clues, but none of it really is explicitly stated or mentioned. And it seems to me that if you're going to have it tie into the Doctor in some way, like if it's a memory or some kind of simulation that's supposed to involve her, well, you would want to have some kind of little, brief 1 or 2 second clip showing, her either receiving a psychic message of this simulation or this other world, or showing her waking up from a quick cat nap and having remembered or seen this somehow. Because of, especially when the Master shows up at the end of the episode, well, why couldn't it just be that he goes ahead and shows up and does this or somehow orchestrates it? So, we never really get a satisfactory answer to this and within the episode. But other than that, I really have no complaints about this episode. It's pretty decent. It continues a setup that we got with the haunting of Villa Diodati, and then we get to the next episode. So anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear from you. If you like what you've heard and you want to hear more, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon and select all to receive notifications whenever we upload new content. Like this video, share it. If you want to help support the channel, keep the lights on, help us bring you more content, head over to our Patreon or subscribe star page. We can't do this without you. Until next time, this is Michael Wilk for the Wilk Report saying take care. Good night. I'm out.